we're tinkering again. No Land Rovers in sight, but we do have a BV. So this BV206 does a fair bit of mileage actually, around our road course and stuff. We do a lot of corporate work with it, as well as one of the vehicles we do rides in. So you can come to the museum. This year is £4.50 and you get a ride around our off-road course, which is actually pretty impressive. It's not just around the flat. You will be hanging from your seatbelts. But now it's due an overhaul. So we've got the Easter holidays out of the way. And then she starts back on corporate work the weekend. So we've got a lot of work to do between now and then.
So you can tell it's the bank holiday because it rained.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, it's true, isn't it? It's bank holiday in England, so it's rained. So here it is. This is our BV206. Now the tracks aren't fantastic, but for the work she does, they do work well. We'll talk more on the tracks in a bit. She'll carry 17 people in total, although we have obviously one for the driver, so that's 16. Then we have a guy on a radio in the back, making sure the public is safe in the back. So she'll take 15 at a time. So it is on tracks, but it doesn't steer on its tracks. It actually articulates in the middle. It's got two steering rams, and then a damper that is also broken. And they get that off and fix that as well. So while Josh is just checking the engine oil, which is down by his right hand, better check some coolant. I mean, she's only going to go 500 yards and then we're going to drop the coolant out of it though, but better check now rather than cause any damage. Yeah, no, we're above minimum there. So we'll carry 17 people in total, although we have obviously one for the driver, so that's 16. Then we have a guy on the radio in the back, making sure the public is safe in the back. It should take 15 at a time. So it is on tracks, but it doesn't steer on its tracks. It actually articulates in the middle. So you'll see more of this engine once we're down the bottom though, but that is a Ford 2.8 V6 on carbs. Yes. Couple of bumps on the front. Right, so we'll leave her running for a couple of minutes while she ticks over. So we're going to get down the bottom, we need to drop the antifreeze out of it, because we've got some coolant lines that go to the rear pod. Then we're going to lift the rear pod off and get that out of the way. Right, so before we can get on, I've got another Land Rover to move. We said no Land Rovers in sight, but we lied. I forgot about Mike's being parked in the way. Michael, you're in trouble. We're going to take him off. Get him out of the way. It's 8 bolts and 2 coolant pipes. The toolbox has to come off. That's 4 bolts. And you can take it off and get out of the way. It makes life so much easier. So we always just lift them off and get out of the way. The front pod isn't much more work, but it is a little bit of a faff, so we'll leave him on. Yeah, still got the 8 bolts, but then you've got to take the brake disc off and the brake carrier off, and that's a little bit of a faff because you're working at your fingertips through here. So, coolant. So our radiator is in the front here. There's a fan behind it. It drags the air up, and it actually throws the air out up here. And that's because she's fully amphibious. She floats in water. In fact, we had a boat license for the Broads for a little while. Got to take this bung out here and then turn that tap on down there. Ready? Then, because the Swedish think of everything, I'll pull this pipe out here. Should be able to clip that up. Oh, there, but hang on. Here, I'll have to do. I should be able to clip that up. So, right, we'll let this drain now. We'll take you out, we'll show you where the bolts are on the rear pod. One thing I almost forgot, but not quite, because we didn't put chains on it yet, was mud flaps. All the mud flaps have got to come off. There you go, I'll have a washer. I don't quite do this one-handed, can I? Yeah, I can. Right, it's got about 5 kilo of mud on it, which makes it a little heavier. Didn't want to depart. That one I wanted to do up.
So that one's only got 2 kilos of mud on it.
Yeah, racing version, lightened. Right, now Gosh, we're onto the top box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toolbox off.
Yeah. Yeah, righto, so we're going to get the forklift in place now, get the long tine on and get some chains ready. Then we'll take the weight, then undo the bolts. Right, now we've got the forklift up and we're taking the weight of the pod, ready to undo the mounts. So we've just got this one we've already removed. So we've got one here. That moved. I'll bring something out and put in the bolts. A pile of bolts. And then Josh's mount is underneath. Down the back now.
Yeah, I need something a bit bigger than this to undo that.
Okay, run on this one.
Yeah.
Because the other side wasn't tight. Keep going. Yeah, just there. One pod removed, and now you can really see what we're dealing with. So we'll get this pod out of the way and we'll go for rear track, shall we? First though, we'll probably have a coffee in one of our new cups. So she looks a little bit different now, a little bit naked. Kind of cool. Could have a flatbed now, couldn't we? Sure.
Hive unit.
Hive unit. I'm a farmer, so I'll turn it into a sprayer. Next then, we get the tracks off. Then we can really see what we're expecting is these bearings here to be gone. On the diff. Because that's what normally happens. I'm expecting a little bit of play in the hub bearings, the sprockets go on. Again, that's what happens to these things. Some wheel bearings to be gone, because they're the same wheel bearings as what's in a Hosh Point wash machine. Which I don't know if that is bad for the BV or good for Hot Point, not sure. We'll decide that. When I changed the wheel bearings on one of these, I must have done 6.2 million. I think. It feels like that anyway. But not too bad to do, and we'll bring you along with them. Rear tensioner bearings, wheels, they will be shot. There's no suspension on the rears, and they take a lot of hammering. They always go. Wheel bearings we keep on top of, well obviously, so we'll do them throughout the year once they get a little bit of play. But it's the diff bearings and drive bearings stuff that wait until we do the overhaul, and this is kind of I'm expecting them to be gone. First job to remove the tracks, if you're doing it my way, is 30mm nut in the middle of the sprocket, and then we undo the bolt on the drive shaft. So we'll get them first. Right, so these diff bolts can be a little awkward. They're also quite weird. These are genuine ones. I don't know if you can see well on the camera. They're helicoiled. They've got a stainless helicoil in them. No idea why. Maybe someone will know better more than I do. Presume that makes them stronger. They're 12.9, so they're up there in the tensile strength. Maybe the threads get weak at that point, I don't know. all the heavy duty, I'd call them, nuts on this, whether that be the drop prop shafts and stuff like that, they're all helicoiled. I think it's amphibious, I don't know. Stops the threads getting bad. They're stainless, I don't know, no idea. Perhaps someone will know though. So what I'll do is we'll carry on taking these off. Then what we can do is we can drive it forward a foot and cheat to get to the bottom ones. So I'll get the rest of these out and then we'll join you back.
Got me old socket and bar for this middle bolt. It's fairly tight. There's no left hand thread on it, is there?
No.
No.
Give it a minute.
Right.
Yep.
You got it.
Yep.
I expected that to go with a big old crack.
Yeah. Hopefully they are. What's it?
I don't think the other one was.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that one was. Alright. That is the bolt out. Oh, quite a long bolt.
Yeah. She's off. Right, now we'll do the other side. Right, so now we need to slacken, now we've got the drive shafts off, we now need to slacken the tracks. So we've got a box spanner that goes in on the nut on the outside. So now we slacken that off, that is a lock nut. Yep. And now we've got a 19mm socket on the inside.
It's quite tight. Yeah.
Alright, so that's all the way off. To get the track off now, we've slackened the track off completely, but the rear tensioner actually is on a pivot. So it's bolted together here. So I unbolt this bolt and take him out. This arm will then drop down, you'll see when we lift it up, and well, that'll give us another foot of clearance to help wiggle the track off. So they can see the track slowly. Yep, they can. Because I can see it. Right, hammer time. So now we lift it up slightly, you can see that the rear idler, now that bolt's out, is now touching, so we lost all that length there, which is handy. Now what we'll do is we'll put a bar in, stop it going backwards, drop it, get the slack to the front, and then we'll pull these sprockets off. And yes, they are sprockets, they just don't have teeth currently. Right, if we go down, Josh, and you make sure that doesn't come back. Will you hold it for a second then? Yeah. I'll get this one off. One off. What I can do now is knock the drive shaft all the way back. So they're a bit awkward because there's a master spline. So if you imagine these sprockets have got teeth, and they will have later in this video, you've got one master spline, so that guarantees that the teeth are in the same place. So that's the two sprockets off. I'll get the track off. And the easy way I found doing that is hook the top over, lift it up, get the bottom in. Top over, and then just keep it going up and down. And it's not too bad to do. Not fun, but never is at track passion. Right, iron in. Normally. Over that top one next. And then over at the front. Right, okay. But people that are used to BVs might not be used to these caps here. And that is because normally they have a little plastic washer and cap that goes in here, but they are awful and break. Expensive. So I've had these caps made, and then I've got a jig for drilling the wheels out, which we'll show you. I think the army now use this type as well. Probably copied me, I reckon. Probably didn't, but... Any downside to them? We might change these to little hex bolts, Josh.
Yeah, they fill up with mud.
Yeah.
What are they, M5?
Yeah, M5.
We've got that. On the shelf.
We do actually.
Loaded M5.
So you'll see as we're going through the wheels, some of our wheels have been converted to these and some haven't. And that's because rather than just do them all in one go, we thought, well, as bearings go, we'll convert them. And they do work because this bearing's like new. Right, now we then undo the middle bolt. You're going to have to hold that up. Yep. You then get a hammer, Josh. Yep. And again, the seal face is, the inner one's alright, but the outer one is gone. So what we'll do now is we'll do the outer one, then we'll join you back as we take this swing arm off.
There it goes.
Something went. So,
I'm not surprised.
it's off. Luckily they've got a big shoulder you can hit on.
Yeah.
Not actually hit on the threads. So now what we'll undo is this top bar.
Kind of. Yeah, up there.
So I hold this side for you.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're good. That's what we're trying to get rid of.
It shouldn't do that.
Nope. Ironically, only the outside. Inside one is alright. A little bit actually. Right, so the sprockets go on down here. And the shaft comes through the middle, but as you can see, them bearings, they're no good, so let's get them out. So we do that with a prop jack between the diff and this side, and you can push the outer one out, and then the inner one you just have to hammer out with a big hammer. We do big hammers, so right, let's get this out. Right, keep going. We've got a train moving. Surprising what difference a little bit of shock makes.
I say that went.
Right, hold that. Keep going. And again. Alright, that's one side out. Yeah, it does. Now, these are quite a weird way, because she's amphibious, of how all this goes together. But it will be easier to show you that when on the bench when we're all ready to go back together again.
Diffs also have some knock in the bearings, as demonstrated by that wobble, if you can see that. So I've cleaned around there. I probably need as well though the tiny Allen key to dig some mud out. Do you remember where you put that?
What?
Tiny Allen key?
Yeah, over here.
Huh?
Battery loose.
So I'll pull all these out. So look, there's a nice, because they're quite long bolts, you've got to go by the cutout. Luckily there's two though, so if I've got one lined up, I can also do the one on the opposite side. So I shall whip these out. And it looks like Aaron is starting to get the damper off. It suddenly got a bit soggier. All the bolts are out. I've found a couple of shiny M8 bolts to use as jack and screws. I've wound them in. So let's just start. Try and jack this. Oh. There we go. Didn't take much. So, yeah, output is out. I'm going to just quickly go get some to cover that. It's raining. Well, the air is quite damp, so I'll show you this when I've got it on a bench. I'm now in the front pod. It's dark outside, so I brought a torch with me, and we found that we've got to pull the front pod off as well. I've made a bit of a start, so we've got the engine and gearbox cover off. If I grab the torch, you can see there's the engine, so the driver's seat and whatnot. So I've pulled the exhaust off. That goes over the gearbox here, and I've got where the drive leaves the front pod, essentially. So I've got the prop shaft there, little prop shaft. The brake disc is in there. All of that has to come off. So I kind of just making a start with that. So say I said, prop shaft's off. I've got this heat shield has to come out as well. That one I'll probably pull off to give me slightly better access. Looking at that, only looks like 4 bolts, so see if I can feel. Oh no, he'll probably stay on. Allen keys for the prop bolts there. The other end is a couple of pinch bolts. Got to get the calipers off. The hangers for them off. Oh yeah, the brackets. Disc as well, I believe, has to come off. Yeah, I'll make a start. And I'll kind of probably bring you along for updates every now and then, because it is dark and the camera is struggling to see what we're up to. So I've now just pulled the calipers and hangers off. So one's there, one's just under my legs. So say brake pipes off, handbrake cable off, 2 bolts top and bottom, just slide them off sideways. So I'm now at the diff, sorry, not the diff, at the prop shaft. Oh, which is done by a row of bolts there, or a ring of bolts on that end, and I say those 2 pinch bolts. If I get that off, I can then get the disc off, which is another ring of bolts. Lucky that's got 2 jacking screws as well to help get that off. And then I'm up to the baffle behind. So I'll probably carry on unbolting things, and you'll see more of this when we get putting it together. So because of how it's dark, it's not really able to show it off particularly well, but when it goes back together we will.
So that kind of brings us to the end of this video. You see, we didn't film a great deal of disconnecting the front pod. You'll see that as it goes back on though, and that's because it got dark and we're a little bit annoyed that we had to lift it off really. But we are in many bits there. We've got the next video, we're obviously overhauling everything, getting it all back together again. We've got lots of lathe work, we've got to make lots of bushes, some seal carriers, a lot of cool stuff really actually. For those of you like seeing what actually goes into maintaining these vehicles and keeping this stuff on the road and on the go, especially when BVs aren't too bad to get parts for if you've got really big pockets and wallets. We don't, so a lot of the bearings and lots of the seal carriers and stuff that you can buy I make on the lathe. They're just as good as buying them, apart from one of the seal carriers it costs more than all of the steel I've brought to make all of the bushes. So, but I enjoy sitting at the lathe and making stuff. So there's Martin that comes here, so there's Josh. So keeps us busy, keeps us out of trouble. So cheers for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comment section if you liked it and enjoyed it. See you guys in the next one.